Please stand for the flag salute.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen.
Roll call, please.
Tom Collins.
Here.
Clem Osleski.
Here.
Rich Patterson.
Here.
Michael Cristaldi.
Here.
Jim Galantino.
Here.
Margaret Gubernalti.
Here.
Craig Palmisano.
Here.
Stephen Giesecke.
Here.
Remy Pelosi.
Here.
Joseph DiGirolamo. Ron Grupo.
Present.
Michael Richmond.
Here.
This meeting is being held in accordance with due public notice thereof and pursuant to the New Jersey State Sunshine Law. Notice of this meeting is advertised in the press, and a copy of same has been posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building. I'd like to hear a motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? No, motion passes. Do we have to approve any, do we have to approve the cases from last month, or do we do that at the next meeting?
Next meeting.
Okay.
Follow the agenda.
I'm looking at, statement compliance for the meeting schedule. Do we have the meeting schedule?
Megan is too.
Do I hear a motion to approve the meeting schedule of 2020 and the first meeting of 2021? Do we have that?
I'll make the motion.
We have the 2020 already, but the first meeting of 2021,
Guess I should.
we didn't pick that date yet.
Well, can we just take that off of here and we'll pick it later? Do we usually do that? We've never done that before. What?
It's so that it could be
Yeah, I don't recall it
advertised
either.
with the 2020 dates, and we wouldn't have to do it.
Well, then let's look at the calendar.
If we wanted to do a reorg separately again,
Well, it was,
it would be
yeah, you know what?
January 14th is the second Thursday.
Maybe we should do that because we're going to come up with the same thing of only having one meeting between November and December, which really backed up January this year. Do another meeting like this early in January in case there's a backup. We could always cancel it. All right, so make it the 14th.
What's that, next year?
Next year. Yeah. All right, do I hear a motion to approve the? Yes.
Make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Who's been reappointed?
Galantino, Cristaldi,
can't vote.
Palmisano.
It's the Italian connection.
Your term expired.
I got a letter that they wanted me back.
The minority.
You gotta be sworn in first.
I didn't send that letter.
Evening, sir.
John Amadeo did.
No, he did not.
Yes, he did.
Everything here.
Well, everybody else can vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Do I hear a nomination for chairman for next year,
You mean this year?
Yes.
this year?
I nominate Rich Patterson. I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
You're not sworn in yet.
Do I hear a nomination for vice chairman for this year?
Mike Richmond.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None. Motion passes. I hear a motion for the solicitor for this year.
Leo Manis.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. I'd like to hear a motion for the board secretary administrator.
Palmer Cardy.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. The motion passes. We don't have to vote on you, right? We're stuck with you? All right. Okay, Leo, would you swear in the reappointed members, please?
Sure. Does everyone have an oath or no?
No, you have them.
What, I just have them?
On the right side is the printed out ones
Gotcha.
with the names.
So we got Jimmy, Remy, Craig, Mike, and where's yours?
That's a lot for one.
Didn't you say you got reappointed?
Got a letter in the mail.
Just send- but,
There's blank ones in case.
You don't know off the top of your head when her term
Everybody
was up, right? I mean, was she on that email from Joanna?
No.
She was not?
I'm leaving.
Well, then you can vote. Now do you vote for me?
we just do it all together?
Yeah, I want to do it all together. I just,
My
how,
name is
how
on
long,
the list.
how long you been on the board?
25 years.
More than 4?
Yes,
At least.
Your name is on the, you got a letter in the mail that you were reappointed?
yes.
All right, well,
All right, well, there's a blank one in there. You can write your name.
we'll just swear you in anyway, and if you didn't expire, you're still on, and if you did expire and you didn't get reappointed, your vote doesn't count.
Did you hear Pinky expired?
All right, we'll do, we can do everyone together.
Leo,
There.
on the other side, there's ones without a name, so
And I'll
she could.
fill one out for her.
I like that.
Perfect. All right. Each of you, just repeat after me. I, each of you state your names. Do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States
United States,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same and to the governments established in the United States and in this state under the authority of the people, so help me God. I do further solemnly swear or affirm that I will impartially and justly perform all duties
Justly
Perform all duties
of the office of Planning Board member
of the office of planning board members
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
All right, I'm going to pass these out. Just sign them, get them back to me before the end of the meeting so I'd notarize them. And Pinky, you just have to, you get the blank one.
Sister.
And we'll figure out if you were reappointed.
names.
Oh, man, it's fresh.
I hope they never televise these meetings.
Can we get it up there?
Joe's not here. We'll swear Joe in next time. All right, welcome back.
Okay, Roger, would you explain just the Cliff's Notes of the ordinance number 12?
Yes.
And then anybody has questions. Pinky, this is your turn. He's going to explain the ordinance and you're going to ask questions.
Last week, the governing body, or actually December, the governing body introduced 3 ordinances. Ordinance number 12, 2019, an ordinance amending Chapter 175, Land Use, Article 1, Definitions. And you'll see the consistency report. Basically, building coverage, we've been talking about this for about a year now. The current definition, you take the ground floor, you measure the perimeter of the ground floor, that's building coverage. No matter how big or offset the second floor, third floor is, doesn't matter. So we revised it to, as most towns have it, to that percentage of lot covered by the principal building, all projections attached to the principal building covered by a permanent roof other than decks and porches shall be considered part of the parcel of said principal building. I think the examples I showed before that I handed out was, say you have a ground floor, it's 1,000 square feet, your second floor is 1,000 square feet, but it overhangs, say, 25 feet. There's an overhang. Well, that 25 feet doesn't mean anything. It's still the ground floor. Even though you're covering 1,250 square feet, the building coverage is only 1,000 square feet because by definition, it goes to, as long as you're meeting the maximum principal coverage.
So this is basically a bird's eye view.
You look down from the ceiling or from the sky, whatever that outline is of that roof or the building, that's the building coverage. That's how most towns define it. So this will probably reduce a lot of these cantilevers that are covering garages and where the second floor is much bigger than the first floor.
Which allows for a bigger third floor, if the second floor is bigger.
It'll be in proportion. It will still,
Right, but if the first floor is 1,000, the second floor is right over it and is 1,200, you still get 600 on the third floor instead of 500.
right.
Is there gonna be any exceptions, like, sometimes people shut the fireplace out or a bay window?
Well, the ordinance already allows for those types of projections.
All right, so that won't be in the,
Not like a fireplace, no, but like a big bay window that goes 2 floors up, yeah, that's gonna count. The other part, and this is probably the most,
Can I ask one other question?
yes,
How about like, an HVAC platform, is that considered coverage?
That'd be like a
it's
deck.
lot coverage, but not building coverage.
Oh, it is lot coverage,
Right,
That always has been.
always has been.
okay.
We're still gonna be allowed a cantilever, but
As long as it complies, as long as that projection is included in the building coverage, yes. What you're gonna see is, that second floor is not gonna be offset that much.
I'm bringing it up because if some people want a bigger backyard, but they want their bedroom a little bigger. So stay within, our zoning for the second floor, but the first floor is in, so they have more ground use.
Well, think of it this way, it's the aggregate of all floors, the maximum wall location.
Okay,
It doesn't say you can't do it.
Yeah,
It just says
gotcha.
it counts towards the building
yeah,
code.
gotcha.
The
You had
most
one at,
significant one is the half-story. It's a minor change, but it really says a lot. And
Section 2, half-story.
Section 2, half-story. We're keeping the following, where the existing definition written today is the area under hip gable or gable roof where the roof-to-ceiling height in excess of 5 feet is less than 50% of the floor area of the floor immediately below, where the floor area is with a floor-to-ceiling height in excess of 5 feet is more than 50% of the floor immediately below, it shall count as a full story. In Margate, other than Marvin Gardens, you're allowed 2.5 stories of a house. So what this says is if you exceed the 50%, it's a third floor, you don't comply. You have to come back. So what's been happening is, as you can see, and it's been even before I got here, is these half stories have become full stories. The walls are being pushed out. So I'm adding the following below. I said the half story shall be fully contained within the roof of the second flooring, having the permitted dormers and exceptions for elevators and stairways where applicable. So basically, it's a finished attic, like most of the older style homes here. We're getting back to where that original intention was. I mean, the way I read it is the area under hip or gable roof, that's the attic. But they've been pushing them up another 10 feet, and, well, as long as they're hip or gable roof, it meets the intent of the ordinance.
Well, they're also having the roofs cover the 2-story second floor.
Right, there's another roof on top of the roof of the second floor, and that's,
No, if the second floor goes all the way up, they're bringing the roof out, okay? 50%'s in here, but the roof continues, which creates a 2-story room on the second floor. That won't be allowed anymore,
no,
correct?
no.
That's something you were bringing up, Clem.
And it still doesn't address
On
it.
the third floor, the 50% is calculated after 5 feet, correct?
Correct,
Yes.
So we're still gonna keep that, right?
that stays.
All right, so, the most flagrant example I see of what we're talking about is that house on the beach, correct? One that's on the beach, that looks like it's a full 3 stories.
Right, right.
But how do they even do that? Is there like a hole in the middle?
Genius.
It's
No.
open. There's a roof like this in the middle of that.
There is?
Yeah, with
There's
walls
actually
that-
five roofs that are all in lines.
So, what you're, so typically, let's say like
Look
a lot
at,
of these houses you see now, the 2.5-story ones, the third floor, like there's a roof that surrounds it, and then, sometimes the third floor will come up with a roof on top of that. So
Right.
it's still gonna be allowed, correct?
Now we're getting rid of that.
We're getting rid of that?
Right. You can have dormers up to 50% of that area. To me, that's a dormer.
but you can also have the roof that goes like this and like this and down.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, you're talking about, what Roger's talking about is you have a roof like this, and then you have walls going up like this with another roof. That won't be allowed.
That's
But
the
you
way
can still
most-
design it with a 14 pitch and the 5 pitch.
Almost all the 2.5 stories.
But won't
But what it also does, the house at Union Avenue in Winchester, they've got a roof that covers almost the entire third floor. Because they have rooms underneath with, was it Sumner Avenue too, or?
Yeah.
Where he said, well, we raised the ceiling so much that it's not livable space, so it doesn't count. So the roof covered the entire third floor, but they met the definition by only 50% was over 5 feet.
50% of it? Is that what you're saying?
No, the area over 5 feet
Livable is 50%.
was 50%. But the roof went out the entire way, and then you have a 2-story second floor. You get your living room on the second floor, it's got a 2-story ceiling on it.
So I have a question.
Right, well, the purpose of the 50% on the second floor was the massiveness, and this goes back to 2006, was the massiveness. So when you have a roof over the entire third floor, that's the massive house. This will stop that. They won't be able to have a 2-story second floor,
So,
right?
Mm-hmm.
so, so are we still at 30 feet at the height?
Yeah.
But that gets it all involved in a plate like that?
Well, the governing body wants 30 feet across the board also.
Okay.
We're gonna
Well,
get
I
rid
thought
of,
we have that.
no. There's exceptions where certain areas that used to be in a 28-foot zone, you can go to 30 if the plate height.
Oh.
We're gonna change this so 30 feet across the board everywhere. It's the same, there's no exception.
Yeah, but we're
The-
still gonna have this plate height thing?
No,
Okay.
no,
Plate heights going then?
not yet, not
Well,
yet.
we can't. I have my chandeliers that don't fit on the,
Right. Chandelier collection.
Can you believe an attorney took that case?
Huh?
Can you believe an attorney took that case?
Twice.
I can't believe the builder on Pennsylvania Street. Anyway, all right, all right, that's cool, I get it,
Okay.
yeah.
My question is, you're saying the third floor is 50%. But wait, so that you can't bring the walls out like you're saying?
Yes, correct.
Wouldn't the first part of this ordinance eliminate that as well?
No.
It
Why?
doesn't, because that's what they're building now.
Yeah, but you're saying if you're adding it to coverage, oh, not.
No, it has nothing to do with
okay,
coverage.
Ground coverage, okay.
No, that's
got
two
it.
different things.
Right, two
Yeah.
different things, okay. I
Right.
got it. It's not building, okay.
Yeah, building coverage is related to the lot.
Right, I got it.
The half story is related to the building
I'm
only.
confusing building coverage with,
Right.
You're taking advantage of both of them.
right.
Overhang.
So, I guess the other thing is with this thing, is we're still gonna keep the 15% dormer restriction?
Right, and exempt from that is like stairwells and elevator shafts.
Stairwells are exempt from that.
Right. We got to be fair about that.
I don't think it was initially. I think it should be.
All right, so, yeah, because if you have a third floor, you're gonna need at least one dormer per bathroom,
Right.
so that's gonna be a lot.
And you need
And you'll have a dormer for your stairwell.
which doesn't count.
All right, good.
Did we go to the lot size on that yet, the third floor?
No. That's back further.
Okay.
Rich, is there a limit to the amount of dormers we can have?
50% of the third
15%
floor.
of the footage on the third floor, not including stairwells and elevator shafts.
Right.
They don't count as part of the 15%. 150.
They might be further in the roof line, but you can still have,
Can we get a handyman's opinion?
so are we good on building coverage and half story?
So
Okay.
do we vote on this one now?
We'll do them all at once.
Do 'em all.
Let's get through all three, and then we have a report.
Okay.
The next one is the ordinance 13-2019, Chapter 175, Land Use, Schedule B1, City of Margate Schedule of Standards, Residential Standards 175, Attachment 4, Column 1. And this issue has been coming up quite often, where since at least 1967, if you're building a single-family home or a two-family home in the MF zone, it says you refer to the chart to the left. Well, pick one. You still don't get the 45% building coverage. Basically, you have to follow all the standards and and pick an S60, S50, S40, S30, whatever zone you want to apply, you pick that for MF zone. So what we're doing is, if you want to build anything you want in an MF zone, as long as you comply with density and FAR, you're going to get the 45% building coverage. And
Which is MF?
MF, it's an
Okay.
MF
So you have
standard.
the same building coverage if you
Same.
build a single in an MF zone.
Correct. It's
So-
not on a floating scale like it was before.
Well, it used to be that if you wanted to put, never mind.
If you had a lot in the MF zone, it was less than 4,400 square feet, you can only build one unit. So say you had a large lot, you're penalized on building coverage because you have a large lot in an MF zone. Well, the intent of the MF zone is to higher density or higher building coverage. So you're gonna have a house with 45% building coverage that meets the ordinance. And next to it, because your lot is maybe 5 square feet shorter, you're gonna get penalized probably 15% of your building coverage, or maybe 10%.
This, we might be stagnating, like Harding Avenue, Wilson Avenue. Most of those lots are 50 by 60 with a duplex on them.
That's the TF zone.
Yeah,
This is MF zone, multifamily.
wrong zone?
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, from Monmouth Avenue all the way to the beach. Yeah.
Probably two-family.
So what I did is to be fair with the lot width setbacks, where it used to go to the single-family zone as 37%, well, we're just giving lot widths less than 40 feet of width, 5 feet minimum setback, 12 feet with a driveway on the side, lots with widths 40 feet or greater, 8 to 10 feet was, we're crossing out 10 feet, we're putting 12 feet for the driveway, because that builds in that 1 foot setback.
And it's still minimum on the other side, minimum 5 on the other side?
Correct. Which is what it would be if you were building a single family anyway.
Okay.
And we're also going to give the incentive of parking over 2.5 stories over parking if your lot width is greater than 40 feet. If it's less than 40 feet and you want parking underneath, 2 floors.
If you're,
The incentive before, if you were building in the MF zone and you had to go to the MF, or the single-family standards, we gave it at 9 feet for the garage below and 2.5 stories.
Right.
Well, by going back to the MF zone and using just, if we didn't change it, you're only allowed 2 stories above parking. So if your lot width is 40 feet or greater, we're still gonna give you the 9 feet for parking and 2.5 stories. If it's less than 40 feet, it stays at the 2 stories above parking.
Or 2.5 if parking isn't below.
That way, we don't have really tall, narrow, skinny buildings on small lots.
So is that, okay, so that's gonna be in that zone, are we going, did we talk about, so in the rest of the city, pretty much, you're still gonna be able to do the parking and 2.5 stories? Okay.
That doesn't change.
Right.
Yeah.
What we're doing here is just simplifying our ordinance because it's caused problems, and I never understood this when I got here.
Now, what happens if you have it in a residential zone, you have a lot that's less than 40 feet?
That doesn't change.
This only
Has nothing to
applies
do
to
with that.
MF zone.
The 2.5 stories with
Correct.
parking underneath.
Right.
Right.
Basically, what we want to do is if you want to build something in the MF zone, you follow the MF zone standards no matter what.
Right.
You don't have to, all right, pick one.
It was weird. You were penalized by putting less stuff in before because it was crazy, what we did
And the
before.
beautiful thing about this is all those density controls, they're still in place. You can't squeeze another unit in there because you still have to meet the 19.8 dwelling units per acre requirement. And this is the only zone where the FAR is in effect. It's 1.0. So that doesn't change other than, well, the Washington Avenue Pedestrian Corridor District has FAR too, but that's fine. But this will really clear up a lot of cases. It will actually reduce our caseload here, plus interpretations. Does anybody have any questions on MF zone? So basically, you come in, I want to build 1, 2 multifamily home, you follow MF zone standards, that's it. 1 column.
It's much easier and it's also makes more sense.
Yeah.
And again, the side yard setbacks and the MF zone standards actually have a greater rear yard setback requirement, which is fine, because a lot of those lots are like 125 feet deep. So we're still at 20 feet, and that's not bad. Okay, then the last one is ordinance number 14-2019. And this is for driveways, location of driveways. The intent of that ordinance, like say, if you're in a corner lot, Winchester and Union Avenue, they had to come in for a variance to keep that driveway on Winchester Avenue. Because the ordinance says, any corner property, you have to put the driveway on a north-south street. Well, if you're fronting on Atlantic Avenue, Ventnor, Winchester, and Monmouth, and Amherst, that makes plenty sense. The intent of that is so you're not backing out into long, narrow streets where people are speeding, more than likely, or not, but it's a main thoroughfare. So remember, Carmen came in for a variance for the same thing back on, what, Fremont or Fulton Avenue? That street's 2 blocks long. And he had to get a variance for the driveway instead of being on Union Avenue, or was it Vendham?
Union.
Was it Union? Doesn't make sense. That road's more traveled. So keep it on the side street. So that, what this ordinance is doing, and again, this will eliminate another case up on the beach block, but what I did is I looked at the whole street map of the city of Margate, and I provided exemptions for where this is not required anymore,
Where it doesn't make sense.
where it doesn't make sense. Maintaining Ventnor Avenue, the main thoroughfares, that makes plenty of sense. So you're not backing out into those main thoroughfares. It doesn't mean you have to, it means you can. If you want on the other street, you can. If you want on the street, fine, where there's no traffic. Okay, and then the other changes to that is, the next page, section 2, add the following and limit it to the 1 per lot. Single residential driveways have a maximum of 10 feet wide and limited to 1 per lot. We're adding the following change, 20 feet to 18 feet. So 18 feet works for a double wide driveway, especially if it's a one-way road, because everyone's turning the same way. It must be continuous with no gaps, meaning you can't have a 10 and a 10 or a 9 and a 9 with an 8-foot section in between. It pushes it all together.
And you can't park. It gets rid of 3 parking spots.
Yeah, the whole
Right.
property,
Right.
20 feet, pretty much takes up.
Yeah.
Well, you're basically losing 1, but you're gaining 4. So,
So that if they're gonna have to change the design of the house, where the houses now that have a driveway on the outside with the steps coming down the middle. If they want two garages, or is it with 2 garages? Yeah,
Two
they have 2
garages.
garages. They have 1 garage on one side with the steps on the side.
or if they have the one garage and they have the driveway next to the house, they have to maintain that 18-foot combined,
Accommodate the
Yeah.
driveway
which they can do.
Yeah.
You can make that
You
maneuver.
don't separate it, but then you've got 22 feet to park in.
And they all have to be 18 feet deep, right?
That doesn't change, yes.
From the garage door, correct?
Ask you a technical question. When you're calculating the width of a curb cut, are you going from where it comes to the sidewalk, or are you coming where it hits the street?
It's the full, where the width is full depressed. So it's where it's,
Top of the hump.
no,
The gutter-
bottom of the hump.
the gutter-
It's out at the,
You know, because it always swells, so even that curve.
Well, you have an design standard for that is an 18-inch return on either side, so it's another 36 inches, 3 feet.
is this the 10 feet or is this the 10 feet?
That's the 10 feet.
The shorter one?
Huh?
The shorter one at the sidewalk,
Right,
Their
not where it
returns.
spreads out.
okay. So
You're
Because
about
it-
18 inches,
Right.
18-foot curb cut is where it meets the sidewalk, and then.
where the driveway is,
Right,
Yeah.
then when you can swell it out.
18
Right.
inches.
And if you have a
Right.
4-inch curb, that's less. If you have an 8-inch high curb, it's more.
Okay, that's just good to know.
Right. And that's pretty much it in a nutshell. I think these ordinances are fair to the city. I think it meets the original intent of the ordinance. Definitely is meeting the intent of the master plan. It's consistent. I mean, to me, these are more housekeeping items. The only one that would really fall under the category of master plan consistency would be the MF zone standards. But clearly, that meets the intent of the master plan. I think it's fair to the city. I think it's fair to the developers. I think it streamlines a lot of issues that have been coming up.
I think the biggest thing is the, besides the MM zone, is the third floor.
My belief has always been that that was the original intent of that definition, but it hasn't been followed in so long. Adding that language, keeping the original language and adding that language clarifies it even more.
I think it's only been,
I can't remember when it was ever filed.
but it's mostly the last couple of years is when it's been going crazy. One after the other is
Nah,
extending that
I
third
drove
floor.
around, there was a lot of houses that were built before I got here
Yeah.
that really had a lot of third floor space.
Any other discussion before we vote on it?
And so these three ordinances, 12, 13, and 14, they were introduced by the commissioners on December 19th. And our role is basically whenever the commissioners introduce an ordinance, a zoning ordinance or a zoning ordinance amendment, which all of these are, they refer them to us, and then it's our job, only job really, is to make and transmit back to them a report identifying any provisions in the proposed amendments or zoning ordinance, new zoning ordinances that are inconsistent with the master plan. So that was essentially our discussion. Roger did a report on each of them, and what I've done is prepared a resolution, a consistency report in the form of a resolution which incorporates Roger's three reports, and it makes the finding that they're all, they're not inconsistent with the master plan, and the commissioner should go ahead and adopt them. So in terms of voting, I think I should just read the title of the resolution, which has a motion and a second, and then we can do a roll call. So it's City of Margate Planning Board Resolution 1-2020, Consistency Report on Ordinance Number 12, 2019, Ordinance Number 13, 2019, and Ordinance Number 14, 2019 of the City of Margate, amending Margate City Code, Chapter 175 Land Use, Article 1 Definitions, Schedule B1, City of Margate Schedule of Standards, Residential Standards, and Article 5 Zoning Supplementary Regulations, respectively. So we need a motion and a second to adopt that resolution, and a roll call vote, and
I'll make a motion.
Rich Patterson,
Yes.
one sec. I'm not sure Remy is an alternate if he can make the motion.
Why am I even here?
Because we like
Because
you.
I can't make a
I just want to, I don't know, you probably can, but can someone else?
Do it. Let somebody. Way to go, Craig. Way to go.
Sorry, Remy. Craig, motion, second.
I think it is.
I do too.
I, no comment.
We could really.
Oh,
Stan Bergman would have let you do it.
I grew up with Remy, so. All right, and then, if you could just take a roll call vote in the order, Pommel.
Rich Patterson,
Yes.
Tom Collins,
Yes.
Clem Wasleski,
Yes.
Jim Galantino,
Yes.
Margaret Gubernalty,
Yes.
Michael Cristaldi,
Yes.
Michael Richmond,
Yes.
Craig Palmisano,
Yes.
and Ron Grupo.
Yes.
Okay, resolution is approved.
And I don't want to pick on Remy, but the law says
He
when you're an
does.
alternate, you can, during applications, you can participate, you can ask questions. You don't vote unless,
Why did Ron
It's number
Um,
9.
because,
I'm before him.
You're right.
well, not the way that the appointments went, because when, the alternates are 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, when a vacancy comes open, it's the commission's job to appoint someone to fill a vacancy. So unless they bump everybody up by resolution, and that's a conversation we should have with them, I understand that.
We do need, I didn't know that, we should have that.
Yeah, and it doesn't make sense, and it's something actually Palm and I talked about, in terms.
Could we go, could we pass a resolution or whatever to make it retroactive as you came on?
It's always the way I thought it would be.
That's the governing body.
That's the way it was.
Oh, for them.
Yeah, I mean, I think,
To ask them to do it.
yeah, I think we can ask them to do it at any point. It does, and,
That's what I'm saying, that's, right.
no, it
No, it
does.
should be that.
I understand it. So if Ron were to resign, technically, whoever would go right into number 1. I understand it, and but it has to come, we don't appoint the board members, and we don't rank them in the order. I think it's more of a formality thing.
Well, that's,
It seems like I could remain an alternate forever.
Right.
Right. Now, if,
Just keep getting.
yeah.
now, if a
that's-
regular board member were to resign, number 1 does not the commission can appoint,
Yeah, whoever they want.
they can appoint whoever they want, whether they're an alternate or not, or someone off
but
the
Can
street.
we ask them just to make it,
Yes, to make it clear.
to make it clear that it's,
that we go
when you get,
forward.
when you're appointed to the board, you do move up? Huh?
It makes sense. So
Could you
I'll,
prepare something for that?
yes.
I can raise that point at the workshop meeting also.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty.
I'm not sure that they have them. Yeah, we gotta see what their records are, if they have. I mean, the statute says you can have up to 4 alternates, and it's alternate 1, 2, 3, and 4. And those are positions, just like if one of you were to resign, and you have 1 year left in your term, someone would get appointed to the completion of your term. For that one year, they wouldn't get a new 4-year term.
I don't think they realize that there's a pecking order.
No, I know, they don't.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't think they care. Let's have them change it. And retroactive, so everybody's in order of, alternate-wise, not other ones, but alternates, so the alternates move up and they're the next one to go on the board.
Okay.
Well, I guess that's up to them anyway, but at least in the voting order, it should be that way.
Very good. All right, what's next?
Public participation. Eric? We have to have an executive session now?
Ask a quick question, when will this stuff actually go into effect?
Next Thursday, if the governing body approves it.
That's
Their
the
meeting,
second, the
yeah,
second reading.
which was one of the reasons we tried to get together, so we can, I think that's gonna eliminate at least one of the January applications, or simplify it. Yeah, we do have
If you recall, we've had 3 cases in the last 4 or 5 months that, because of that building coverage issue with the MF zone,
Right,
they were here.
They wouldn't have had to be here.
so did you close the public hearing?
and what we need now is we have to adopt the resolution to go into executive session to discuss a pending litigation, so we'll adopt the resolution, and then we'll kick Mr. Goldstein out.
All right, so
We'll go
public
into-
portion is closed. Thank you.
So this is City of Margate Planning Board Resolution 2-2020, a resolution providing for an executive session not open to the public in accordance with the provisions of the New Jersey Open Publics Meeting Act, NJSA 10-4-12B, regarding pending litigation and attorney-client privilege matters. So motion and a second, please.
I'll second.
All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes.
Motion we adjourn.
Wait till you're on.
Now we're back in public, and there's just a statement we need to make. We just went into closed session to discuss pending litigation and attorney-client privilege matters. No formal action will be taken at this time.
Anything to say?
I make a motion we adjourn.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Good job.
I yelled at Eric.